bash put on by the Hells Angels of England and Wales.
It's got many facets, drag racing and top custom show, and there's a few more things besides that. Well, I'm here with Ken, who's a press officer for the Bulldog Bash. Ken, how long has all this been going?
Well, the Bulldog Bash itself's been running for 15 years. This is, in fact, the 15th anniversary edition. It started as a small event, really. We had under 2,000 people here, and it's grown over the years into what you see here. 25,000 people we're hoping for this weekend.
There's always been a bit of mystery behind the sort of Hells Angels. How come they're actually doing an event like this that is so public?
Well, it was started a long time ago, and it was a very small event. And what's happened is it's grown and grown and grown over the years, and it's thrust us more and more into the public eye. And of course, it's a successful event, so that's just something we have to live with.
I mean, the Hells Angels, where's that originated from?
Well, the Hells Angels started in 1948 in California. American ex-servicemen with lots of time on their hands and a few dollars to spend, buying cheap motorcycles and spending a lot of time together. And the club came here in 1969 with the London chapter, and we've grown in this country to the now 16 chapters over the years from there.
What's a chapter? I hear the word chapter.
A chapter is effectively a branch of the Hells Angels, and we are all members of the same club, and the chapters are the branches of the club.
And what does it actually mean, say, for yourself to be a Hells Angel?
Well, I'm very proud of it. It's the biggest and the best motorcycle club of its kind in the world. It's extremely difficult to join, and so obviously being a member is something you're extremely proud of.
And how big's the club?
Nationwide, we've only got about 200 members. So that makes you realise they're how exclusive it is.
So there's no way I can get in then?
No, it takes a long time to join. You know, for a complete stranger, it'll take you probably at least 3 years to join us.
This is the custom tent, and it is extraordinary what people have done to these machines. The paint jobs and the engineering that goes into the actual structure of the bikes is just unbelievable. So Richard, why have you called your bike the Rump Shaker?
It was inspired from a 50s hot rod, actually. That's where the name originates, and the style's very sort of 50s style. So.
From that era?
Yeah.
How long would it actually take to do a project like this?
This particular project took almost 2 years because everything was hand-formed. But most of the projects are due between 3 and 6 months. And that's from ground up, getting all the components, deciding how it's going to look, and then work from there.
Why do customers do it? What's in it for them?
I think they want the I own this and nobody else will have one.
There must be a great deal of satisfaction for you when you've actually completed it and the customer comes and sees it.
Definitely. The first time you take the bike out and it's fired up and everything seems to be running okay, you run up the road, it's a huge buzz. And obviously when the customer goes off it and he comes back with a smile on his face, that's all he wants, and then he's happy.
Well, this has got to be one of the most extraordinary machines I've sat on. It's called a trike, and it actually makes you feel like the dog's Wotsits. But who on earth drives these machines?
Well, the difference with a trike, basically, for me, is it's a lot more enjoyable. I mean, you can jump on your trike, go away, and basically everyone's sort of looking at you all the time and turn your heads, looks at you. I mean, it's a lot bigger, a lot more things you can do to it. I mean, basically, it's more appealing to me.
Is it a motorbike?
Well, mine is a motorbike because it's got a motorbike engine, but there again, you can have some that have got car engines. It is actually classed as a trike, whether it's got a bike engine or a car engine.
What's the handling like of it? To actually physically ride it?
Yeah, you can get some that are absolutely brilliant for handling and some that aren't very good at all. Mine personally is not one for handling because it's not really built for speed, it's more for looks. But there are trikes in our club that are built for handling, and they can keep up with all the bikes on the motorway, not a problem. and they can take the corners easily as well. So basically it depends on what sort of style of trike you're looking for or what you're trying to build.
Well, I'm here with Mick, who's the very proud owner of Extreme Vision. Where was the inspiration behind the bike?
There was a lot of thinking with the tyre, which was put out, the new 250 tyre, and no one did wheels for it, no one did anything for it, but the tyre was put out and it looked awesome.
Why customising? Why get into this? What is it for you that gives you the buzz?
Well, everyone starts off with his old car or his old motorbike and decides, if I stick a couple of little bits on this, it will look beautiful. And all of a sudden it is personalisation, it's expression of yourself. And you start off doing a little bit and then you expand your mind, and before you know where you are, you're on the edge of all your financial outgoings, everything's tied to it, you forget your holidays, you don't do this, you don't do that. But you do know if you buy that one part and you get that one bit that no one else has got, that bike will be you. And this bike is an expression of me and my wife.
I was fascinated by the quality and design of these custom bikes, so I visited one of the most talented artists who was responsible for Extreme Vision and many others at the show.
Percy, I've seen some of your work and it's absolutely phenomenal. When a customer comes to you, what's the procedure?
Well, basically, first I'll ask them, what colour do they want, and then basically it goes from there, what ideas they want, what colours they don't like, and then it's a matter of putting a few sketches together for them, like these around the walls here, so they can see what I'm trying to get over to them.
I mean, what's the story of this? I mean, this has got quite a lot of images on here. Is there a story behind this?
Yeah, there's quite. This is, the guy who's got this. It's actually his sort of life story. This image here is his granddad, the customer's granddad, which he wanted as a personal thing on the bike, as he was a miner. And this here is the old mining lamp what they used to use, and here is like his granddad actually walking down the mine with the old lamp. The customer also wanted a Viking ship, put it onto the tank because he's got a passion and an interest for Vikings.
Percy, this is kind of a bit more abstract, wacky idea. What was the story behind this particular piece?
What I've painted here is the world. There's an explosion coming out of the world and an array of colours. This is all exploding here. It hits this prism and it's coming out sideways, and it's also turned into a face, and the hair of the face has turned all this into colours, and the colour comes down the side and starts to harden up and get more solid. Then you've got your primary colours coming down into the prism, which aren't quite solid, but then it hits the prism and then comes out in a complete solid version of like wires almost intertwining with each other, which comes all the way up here. And you've got an explosion coming out of the prism here, which forms like a top model. The face of the model almost mirror imaging, just there. And he also wanted a tear in the top model's eye, so the tear was running down the face, then it drops and almost hits it, which almost is suggesting that this is water.
Percy, when clients come to you with sort of ideas, can they be quite specific?
Yeah, I had one client that was really specific. He sent me pictures of, it was a lady that he wanted painted on the back of the helmet, and he was well into Batman and stuff like that. And he also wanted the lady's backside to look such a way that he even faxed me like about 10 copies through the post. He wanted a torso to look, so not too muscly, so he could see a slight definition. Even down to the face and the nose. He even wanted a slight kink in the nose, which made the face look very masculine. But he was really, really, specific on the details that he wanted in it.
What do you think it is? I mean, I see a lot of images of naked women and the gothic aspect of things. What do you think that's the connection with the bike sort of theme?
I think, their ideas, what they're coming up with is probably the, fantasies and, it's getting away from reality, so that, he's acting out what they probably would like to see, or, or what they would like to do, really, I suppose.
Well, Percy's very kindly offered to demonstrate the airbrush technique, and he's going to do probably one of the most well-known biking images.
quick skull.
That's unbelievable. And that's all from memory, isn't it?
Yeah.
Another aspect of the Bulldog Bash are a group of riders who defy gravity.
Ken, you've actually been involved in the Wall of Death now for 25 years, which is, a quarter of a century. But
Thank you very much.
and you're still looking good as well. How far does it actually go back, though?
Well, the Wall of Death first came to England in about 1929, but before that it was in America, and before that, prior to that, I've got photographs of 1918 in South Africa.
Because it's been going for such a length of time, it must be steeped in tradition, isn't it?
Yes, very. There's a lot of tradition with the Wall of Death. The machines, you must always face the machines in the direction you're riding. It's a superstition thing. If you point the machine in the wrong way, you've got to take it back out, turn it around and bring it back in. It's only superstition, but I carry on that superstition as a traditional thing. You never see blue and green on the Wall of Death. Blue and green should never be seen. It's only silly things, really, but we stand by them.
You're very unique, Ken, in what you do. How did you actually get involved?
I started on the Wall of Death when I was about 13 years old. Some people I knew wanted a young lad to collect tickets and sweep up and fetch the teas and coffees, which is a traditional job on the Wall of Death. It's the runner. And when I was about 15, they started teaching me to ride. And they started teaching me on an engine like this one, a 1926 Indian Scout. It was built for the American Police Force in 1926, this one. My son Luke, he's ridden it occasionally, but I don't like him to ride it. I don't want to get too fond of it.
No, it's steeped in tradition. Would you ever sell it?
No, no, I couldn't sell it. You can't sell your tools. To a Wall of Death rider, this is his heartbeat.
What specifically makes it perfect for the Wall of Death?
It's got a nice low centre of gravity, so that when you're riding freehand, all the weight's down at the bottom so you can control it easier. You've got nice big foot plates so that you can stand up and get a good balance. You can stand there nice and solid. The seat is at the same height as the handlebars, so when you're trick riding and you want to sit over the handlebars, you can go straight over there. You've got no cables in the way. You've got no suspension. They're built with no suspension on the rear and very little suspension on the front, and I've beefed the springs up to make them even harder. So when you're on the wall, it's not bouncing about and it's all over the place. It's nice, firm ride. They're a good solid frame. If you look at that frame, that's a good solid frame. When you do fall and drop them, you get a sledgehammer and a bit of a bending bar and you can put them right again. You get one of those modern bikes, and you drop one of those and that's it, it's written off.
How do you actually get the bike to go from here onto here? What aspect of it is?
Well, the hardest bit to learn is this bit here at the bottom. We call it the banking track. You have to build up your speed and your inertia on there and lean the bike over, get the bike to lean over. And you've got to keep it down there while you're leaning it over until you get to the right type of angle, which is about, I don't know, about 10 degrees, 12 degrees off the horizontal. Once you've got the inertia up and you can feel yourself being sucked, you feel your body being sucked on. I suppose some bollocks that's
terrifying.
You feel yourself being sucked. You can feel your body being sucked onto the wall. Then you gradually get into there and just accelerate slightly onto the wall. So you're banked over and your back wheel's down a little bit. And that's how you go. You're almost crabbing around the wall like this. If you want to look at the tyres, you can see the wear on the tyre. See how it wears on one side? That's the angle that we ride on the wall at. That's the new side of the tyre that's not been ridden on. You can see all the little rubber blebs. And that's the angle we ride at on the wall. We don't ride here. Most people think we ride there, but we're not. You're all the time, the bike's trying to fall off the wall.
Luke, how long have you been doing the Wall of Death?
Well, I've been riding for 4 years, but I've been around the Wall of Death all my life.
And how did you get involved in it?
Well, it's been running through the family, so I thought I'd just take it on and carry on with it. And then my dad asked me, if you want to have a go, and I said, yeah.
What was it like the first time your dad said to you, hey, do you want to have a go at this?
very thrilled. I was more thrilled than frightened because I've been around it all my life, so it didn't really frighten me that much. But it's more thrilling. Yeah, it's a really good feeling.
When you actually set off on the bike and you get on the sort of lower ramp, don't you feel quite nervous about then just getting it up onto the wall?
When you're learning, yeah, you've got to really grit your teeth, and then you can take it on. But it's a bit nerve-wracking doing that for the first time. But after that, and then you know you can do it, and then you get used to it, and then you get higher up the wall until you eventually start dipping, or when you start, you zoom actually, and then you move on to the Indian, and then you start doing your trick rides.
Now, what's your ambition with the Wall of Death? Can you take it a stage further?
Yeah, I think I'm going to take it on after my dad. Take it.
Is that sort of keep the family business going?
Yeah, I'm actually looking forward to it. Yeah.
Do you ever get frightened of it? I mean, I'm just sort of standing watching you guys going round, and I can feel myself feel very, very uneasy because it's something that's quite different. Do you ever get that fear anymore, or is it just?
It's not fear; it's respect, because you have to respect. You respect. These are our tools, our work things. So I have to respect this because I know what damage this can do. I respect the wall because I know what damage that can do. And it's all down to respect. And I get butterflies every time I walk through that door.
Kent, you are probably the most unusual motorcyclist I think I've ever met.
I won't say I'm an unusual motorcyclist. I'm an unusual person. The Wall of Death is what I do. I'm a Wall of Death rider. I'm not a motorcyclist. The very last thing I am ever is a motorcyclist. I'm a Wall of Death man. This is my arena. This is where I work. This is where I live.
Do you ever drive on the flat?
No, I'm good on the roundabouts though, but anywhere else I'm knackered.
As Ken and his family continue to defy gravity, let's go over to Don, a man who's got his feet firmly on the ground.
Well, this is a Bruff Superior. It's a V-twin, as you can see, 990cc. A wonderful motorcycle of its period. In fact, during the 1920s and 30s, you could really say this was the superbike of that period. Each one was guaranteed 100 miles an hour before it left the factory of this particular model. And that was an incredible speed at that time. It was called the Rolls-Royce among motorcycles, and with very good reason. Although George Bruff, the maker of these, assembled a lot of parts, the engine from Matchless and the gearbox from Norton and so on, he did specify pretty exactly what he required, and it was always to a very high quality. And when he put these things together, it was with very great care and a high degree of perfection. There are all sorts of features which justify this name, Rolls-Royce of motorcycles. The handlebar layout is smooth and clean. The mudguarding is adequate, remembering the roads were muddy and dirty. The noise is pleasant but muted with these wonderful exhaust systems. Everybody wanted one. It cost you twice the price of the average superbike. Today it's worth at least 4 times the price of any superbike you could buy. The machine had many famous riders, one of whom was Lawrence of Arabia. And he had a large number of these and used to ride vast distances, it is said, on them, and would take off in the evening and come back the following morning, having covered some hundreds of miles. And of course he was a great writer, and amongst his writings he has actually written poetry about the pleasures and joys of floating through the countryside with this magnificent beast of a motorcycle. Not everybody would call this a pretty bike, but certainly handsome it is, distinctive. You would recognize one of these coming towards you miles away, largely because of the very wide chrome-plated tank. Well, I have to say what a wonderful motorcycle this is. I have thoroughly enjoyed riding it. When you look at it from the outside, it seems a bit long and big, but once you're on it, it really comes through as something special. It is magnificent. It has a quality about it. The moment you get on it, you realise that this is something of special distinction. Its engine is just gorgeous. I mean, it isn't noisy, but you pull away and it has this lovely throaty exhaust noise, not objectionably loud, but so pleasant. Everything about the bike is wonderful. It handles. For its year, the braking is quite good. It's very difficult to fault it. The riding position is good. All about it is excellent, and you feel proud to be on it. I suppose instead of Rolls-Royce, I'd probably say it was the Bentley of motorcycles, because it has this sporty streak in it which is so appealing.
To be honest, I was a little bit apprehensive about coming to the Bulldog Bash, but it was actually very entertaining. Really, it's a gathering of like-minded enthusiasts coming together to enjoy their interests. I met some great characters and learnt a little bit more about a side of motorcycling that had never appealed to me before.
Well, that's my Bulldog Bash coming to an end. Looks like these guys are going to be passing me pretty hard tonight.